Hello, hello, and welcome. How are we? Oh, let me grab my microphone. You can hear me a little bit better that way. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. It is so wonderful to have you here, beautiful soul. And there is another week that's gone by. I hope you are doing well. This week I'm going to talk about something really interesting, and it actually came from a conversation that I've had twice in the past week around our spiritual practices and what we can do to implement them into our lives every single day. And I thought I'd do something funny, and I actually called this "Help, I think I'm spiritual," and how can I actually implement my spiritual skills in everyday life. It is a question that I get asked quite often, in particular, people on my program, people that I do sessions with. They do have this difficulty in understanding how to apply their spiritual skills and their spiritual practices in everyday life. Let me first say hello to a few people who are here. Hello, Michelle. Lovely to have you. We're back. Let me just look over at my screen here so I can see more people also on my page who are here. And I'm just going to refresh that here to see. Beautiful. Okay, so if you are here, if you're joining in, please say hello and join the conversation, right? So, help, I think I might be spiritual. That is such a great topic to talk about because I feel that a lot of us are waking up. I feel that a lot of us right now are tapping into our intuition, right? Yeah, exactly, Michelle. I knew you'd love that. That's awesome. It is such time in this lifetime right now for us to tap into ourselves, tap into our intuition, or what some people may say, a gut feeling. Yeah, to start listening to that. And yes, that is to do with spirituality, with everything metaphysical, right? It doesn't really matter what name you give it. Yeah, for me, it is spirituality. It encompasses everything to do with the conscious connection that we have with ourselves and all that is within our realms, all that is within the outer realms as well. So when we talk about spirituality, it really encompasses all of that. And it really starts with ourselves. Spirituality starts with you, with who you are at your core. And once we start to open that up, that's often seen as awakening. When we start to tap into our intuition and we start to hear, see, feel, and sense the things that are going on around us that we may not necessarily experience at a physical level, we start to wake up. And it's really important to tap into that because you know what? That is your true self, your core being. And once we have that connection, we can absolutely be more congruent with who we are and get into alignment so that we have a much better experience in this lifetime. And we are much more open to learning and experiencing and truly enjoying what we are here to do and what we are here doing, right? So I thought let's have a chat about that because it is so important right now for us to acknowledge that we are in that space, that we are waking up, we are becoming more visible as our true selves. And sometimes that is a challenging road that we move into, a challenging road that we're turning into. So I would love to share with you a few things that can help you with this process and also share with you how I got through that to be where I am today as well. Hello, Kylie. Lovely to see you. So good to have you here. So, and then also, I would love to share with you what you can do to slowly integrate the newfound you, but also the newfound abilities that you experience into your everyday life as well. We are so caught up in living. we are so caught up in that, what we call everyday life, the busyness of it all, and all that comes with that, including the stresses and the doubts and the speediness with which we need to do things right now. These urges of, I need to do that and I need to do that. When we start to fully tap into who we are, all of that becomes a little bit easier to deal with, because we have a place that we can retrieve into, to get back to that quiet you, to get back to your truth and your loving place, to gather your energy again, to really gather your wisdom, so that it's easier for you to cope in this lifetime as well. Because I feel strongly that this is not an easy lifetime that we are all experiencing right now. So let me take you back a few years when I started this journey, and what some of these triggers were for me that helped me to fully tap into those abilities that are not necessarily tangible, and how I dealt with that. And then I'll move into some of the tips that I can give you as well for you to experience it differently, so that it's a little bit easier for you, so that you don't have to go through that experience that I've been through, because I would definitely not wish that upon anyone. And then I would love to hear from you as well. Like, what are you doing to implement some of this right now? And let's get started, right? So for me, it started quite a few years ago. And it's interesting when you sort of look back at your life and you start to pinpoint a few elements, a few key happenings. And when I now look back, I'm like, wow, everything happened the way it was supposed to. Everything happened. Now I know why they've happened as well. Because as we go through some of the more challenging times in our lives, and and the times when it is not really happening for us the way we anticipated, we often see that as quite a dark experience. But once we get out of that and we come to the other side and we can look back, then we can actually see, oh, now I understand why that happened. And now I understand why I may have put myself in that situation. So when I look, for me, it's not without reason that I chose to be in Australia. Originally from the Netherlands, I moved here over 25 years ago now. Oh my goodness. Time flies when you're having fun. And, consciously I chose Australia because when I came here first on a holiday, it was really like I came home. I really felt like, wow, this is my homeland. And in particular, on the south coast of Sydney, probably about 3.5, 4 hours drive south of Sydney, is where I actually really felt this beautiful blanket of homecoming coming completely over me. And that was the moment where I decided I must move to Australia. It's like I must move back home almost. And not until a few years later, I figured out why that was as well. Why did I have such a strong connection with Australia? And why did I feel like I've come home by moving here? And quite a few, and at that time, I moved into banking and corporate finance and all of the, financial planning. So it was very much a world that I moved into. It wasn't the easiest industry to work in. Although I enjoyed it, very much so. Worked with some amazing people, learned a lot in that process as well, but it wasn't easy. It was a very harsh environment where often in those days we were treated like, you are definitely almost like a number sometimes. And that's how it felt as well. However, in saying that, through that whole process, I actually moved myself up in that corporate financial world. And that's how I learned about coaching and mentoring and all these sorts of beautiful soft skills that I actually learned through that. But that's not where I want to focus. What I would love to share with you is that when it became quite a difficult time for me, in particular when I went through my divorce, that's when I started to really understand the other things that I could do. The other things that I all of a sudden knew, hang on a minute, that's not something that I can see or talk about, or that's really weird. I knew over my whole lifetime that I always had this knowing. For some reason, I always had a knowledge about something, and it could be anything really. I always had something in me that I just knew I had an answer to, or people would come to me and they would ask me for help or guidance. I always had this natural sort of ability to know what was going on for them and knew exactly how to guide them to make a decision for themselves, or to help them to get onto the right path for them as well. But never really knew, how did I know that? How did I get all that information through? That wasn't conscious, like on my mind at all. And it wasn't until I decided to get divorced, and also at the point, sort of between getting divorced and between being diagnosed with a chronic disease, where I started to really have some physical abilities as well. And I felt physically that something was different. I had real experiences of tingling and feeling like hot and cold at the same time, and having the sense that my hands were like bigger than what they were as I was looking at them. And I was feeling really weird, unusual, always quite dizzy and not feeling 100%. And it wasn't until I started to research what that was about. But before that, I actually went to see doctors even to go, what is wrong with my hands? Like, they feel weird. And what is wrong with my body? I feel hot, cold, and dizzy and all this sort of stuff. They couldn't find anything. Nothing was wrong, which is great. At least we know at a physical level, perfectly healthy, until I got, the diagnosis. But let's not talk about that right now. That could be a conversation over a glass of wine later on. But it was really important in a pivotal moment when that happened, that I was actually sharing with my mom at the time, and she goes, you know what? Why don't you actually do something for me and see if this works for you? And unbeknownst to me, my mom is also spiritually very much involved in all the beautiful healing energies, and she's learned a lot over the years. She's also been qualified as a Reiki master and the Shambhala master, and all that sort of beautiful roles that she has. And she said to me, you know what, do me a favor. She goes, put your hands flat on your legs. And as I did that, I felt this surge of energy come out of my hands. And it was like I was on fire almost, like things were exploding around me. And she started laughing and she goes, great, this is awesome. I go, what's so awesome about that? That didn't feel right at all. But she explained to me what that was all about. I had so much universal energy stuck in my body because I wasn't letting it go, that it had to come out some way. And I was so ungrounded at the time. That's where all the dizzy spells came from. I wasn't feeling 100%. I was completely out of balance. I had all this energy blocked up in me, and it didn't have any way to come out apart from making me feel hot and cold and tingly. So once that happened, Mum guided me towards Reiki, and she goes, do the Reiki course, become a master in this, and start working with your hands and heal. So that's what kickstarted it for me. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed being able to sit with my dogs and friends and family members to actually, apply the healing and to get feedback from them to say, oh my God, this was so lovely and calming. And, I could see them falling asleep, or they had reduced pain. They felt really energized afterwards as well. And that's sort of what kickstarted everything for me. So I found a way by learning what it was all about, and then figuring out, how do I fit this in my life? Because coming from corporate, having this analytical mind, it was really challenging for me to understand, why is this a healing practice? Why do I have all this energy? Where is it coming from? What does it actually mean? Why me? And it was so intense for me to try and figure out and analyze it to death, that it actually put me in a downward spiral. And I really did not know what to do with it. And apart from my mom, I didn't really know anyone around me that did the same thing. So I started looking for other people. And I found people like Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer, Doreen Virtue at the time was really big in this stuff as well. And then I found local people as well that were doing that. And this whole new world started opening up, and learned about meditation and how to, center myself, how to balance and ground myself. And then it was like, okay, whenever I do this, I feel better. I feel grounded. I feel more in control of what it is, what's going on and what I can do. I learned how to stay in my power as I was also providing the healing. And so it was quite a journey to get to a point where I fully integrated it in everyday life and found the balance between the spiritual side of me and the corporate career side of me as well, because that was quite a mismatch in my mind. But having that opportunity to learn and how to integrate that made all the difference. All the difference. And Michelle says, interesting. I believe when I received my first Reiki session, it also opened that part of me. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful. And Carly says, I often say I was like a walking head before I practice Reiki. Understanding our energy is so important. Yeah, for sure. Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing. It's so interesting, isn't it? That what we are feeling and not having a solid understanding for it or of it, it really can go the opposite direction, can't it? So when we sort of tap into that and we learn more about it and we learn about the energy and the connection that we have, it then becomes a lot easier to bring my ego also on board with this. That was probably the biggest challenge, because it went so against everything that I knew and all the analytical stuff and all the practical stuff that I knew as well. I even went through a stage where I was like, oh, okay, so I can do all this stuff. So now what? Do I need to always have sage on and incense on? And do I now need to always wear purple and having all these crystals around me and being, So I was literally trying to find my own identity as a spiritually connected woman in this human physical body. And that was really all about just keep tuning in and journaling and writing about it and educating myself more. Carolyn Myss, her book, the Anatomy of Spirit and how it all, works with your body and things like that. And then I learned about spirit guides and how to work with them. And then on top of that, a few years later, I was encountering a snake who told me, go off into the world and do your job. Make sure that you bring animals back together with the humans and create harmony around the world. And once that happened, that was a whole other kettle of fish. That added animal communication into it, communication with more guides. And then I got introduced to Galactic Council, a council of beautiful light beings from different realms and galaxies together that shared with me that I belonged there as well, that was my home, my ultimate home. And all these things just all of a sudden started to happen. So finding a way to integrate that into every day was quite a bit of a challenge. And I am super grateful to have beautiful people around me who at that time went through a similar thing. So we did things together. And now I've got beautiful network around me of people that have gone through it already, right? And we all can now further expand into this, further grow, bring ourselves even to higher levels of connection. And that's just the beauty of all of this. But let's keep it a little bit more practical, because I love talking about going into the high vibrations and the frequencies and these beautiful beings that we can connect with and how we can really go into, our own connection and level ourselves up and see ourselves as this spiritual being rather than just our human physical body that we look at in the mirror every day. But I would love to share with you some practical things that you can do right now So the question I have for you, are you experiencing anything right now that you believe is your opening to your spiritual abilities? Do you hear things that you may not necessarily hear with your physical ears and that other people might not hear, but you do? Could be music, sounds, someone talking to you, but there's no one in the room, and it's not necessarily your voice, or it may sound like your voice, but the language that's being used is very different to how you would normally talk to you. Do you see things that you normally don't see, that other people don't see? Can you see aura? Can you see things happening for people as you talk to them? Do you feel what other people feel? Do you take on aches and pains perhaps of other people? Do you feel people's moods very strongly? If someone comes in and they are a little bit moody, you are in a very happy mood, and all of a sudden your mood is aligned with their mood, you know? Do you have a knowing? You just know things about yourself that you wouldn't have known if, that you just have no idea of knowing, let me put it that way. Or do you just know things about your friend that you're talking to, and all of a sudden this information comes in, and before you know it, it blurts out of your mouth and you have no idea what you're saying, but it makes sense to them, right? So these are spiritual skills, as I call them. They are spiritual abilities. And more often than not, we know them and identify them as being clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, claircognizant. So there's quite a few of these. It's really fun to identify which one you have. So, for example, if you are in meditation or you are walking around in a nature park or on the beach and you're just by yourself and you find yourself just being pretty quiet and you're just enjoying the moment, how do you receive information? Do you all of a sudden see things really clearly? Do you hear something very loudly? Do you feel all of a sudden some sensations in your body that, you're not quite sure where that's coming from? Or do you just know? Once you identify that, in particular, one of them that really pops into your mind, you can then think to yourself, oh, okay, that must be my natural one. So my natural one is the claircognizant. Like, I know, I have this inner knowing. And then I hear and feel almost simultaneously. I can really sense energies as well. I can sense, moods and how people feel and what goes on. And when I see, I do that by applying my hands. So when I have an animal or a person in front of me and I apply my Reiki healing, I activate that, I can start seeing what's happening for them as well in that moment. And it's really beautiful. And automatically, you will utilize all of them at the same time without you even realizing. It's almost like you're learning skills, right? Some people learn by seeing or watching a video. Other people learn by listening to audio or reading a book. Other people learn by doing. So they learn something and they implement it straight away. So they are quite closely linked. So your spiritual abilities are quite closely linked to your human skill sets of learning, right? Your preferred ways of learning. And it's fascinating to dive into that. So what is that for you? Because once you know that and understand that, it becomes a lot easier for you to start to work and play with your newfound spiritual abilities. It becomes more fun to start to learn and play by tuning into your intuition. Because once we start opening up, our intuition comes forward very, very strongly. And that's intuition. It's like your inner knowledge, your inner wisdom. And you know what? That part is your truth. That part is your true self communicating to you as a human. That part is the part that we would love to nurture and work with so that voice becomes louder. Because that's your true wisdom. And I would love nothing more than for you to tune into that voice and be guided by that voice every single day. rather than our human voice. Yeah, our human is there, our human makes sure that, we look great for ourselves, that we eat well, and that we do all the things that we are doing to have this human experience, which is wonderful. And we still need to acknowledge her as well in the process. Very important to keep doing that. However, we definitely want to make sure that we keep tuning in and tuning into our intuition, utilizing our spiritual abilities. Now, what can we do to clarify that every day? What can we do to have clear communication with our intuition every day? The first thing is to become more quiet. I know that's challenging because we all have busy lives, but the first thing is to become more quiet. Even for 5 minutes. Even when you wake up in the morning and you just sit on the side of your bed before you stand up, and you just sit and you just tune in. Put your hands on that beautiful space right here, your sacral chakra. Breathe. And just get quiet. And just listen. What are you hearing? What are you feeling? What are you sensing? What are you seeing in your mind's eye? Because that's your intuition talking to you. That's your higher self tuning in and actually allowing that to come through in what you need to hear in those moments. And then it might be really fun to start journaling that, what you've experienced. And if you do that every day for just 5 minutes, you start to learn a lot. You become more quiet. You will learn to just put all those other thoughts that come up, even the thoughts of, what are you doing? That's crazy. Why are you sitting here on the side of the bed for 5 minutes doing nothing? You're wasting your time. You need to get to work. You need to eat. You need to have your coffee, right? And you go, great, thanks for letting me know that. I know I'm doing all those things, but in 5 minutes, not right now. Now, I'm just going to be a little bit quiet, and I'm practicing to just listen to my intuition. I'm practicing to listening to my intuition and to allow the knowledge of the spiritual abilities I have to come forward so I can learn, and then I can practice and have fun in implementing that every day. And all those other thoughts that come up, put them on the side bench or put them on a cloud and let them just drift away. You'll come back to them later. Just take those 5 minutes, whether it's in the morning on the side of your bed, or whether you sit and do your business in the toilet, or whether you go and walk your dog, or whether you go and feed your horses, right? Those are all beautiful moments. You just be quiet and tune in. And it just gives you that place of just, right? So that's one thing that you can do. And that's also one really beautiful way to connect with yourself every single day. And that's a beautiful start to start implementing and aligning your spirituality into your everyday life. The second thing would be to be more of an observer during the day. Observe what is going on for you. Observe how you are interacting with other people. Observe how your body is responding to the environments and the people that you are moving around. Observe what you are hearing, sensing, feeling. If someone asks you a question, where does the answer come from? Does it come from your gut, from this inner space? Do you see a picture all of a sudden that has the answer? Or do you hear it in your head? All of a sudden you've got the answer right there. What is going on for you? And the third thing that you can do is to actually work on yourself and adjust the things that you see that you would like to shift. Because the more we are quiet and tune into ourselves, the more we observe what is going on and how we experience life truly from that place, the more we are able to see and know and understand what we can shift to become more congruent with who we truly are. And I know that that is a desire of a lot of people. Even this morning in my group coaching, we spoke about that. We spoke about truly showing up as ourselves, showing our light, showing our power into the world, saying things that we would really love to say, but with love and authenticity and with respect to other people as well. Saying those things that you may have always wanted to say to your partner, or, to your friend, or to a colleague. But say it with truth, with love and respect, and with nothing but the best intentions for that person that you're communicating with, and also with nothing but the best intentions for yourself. Because once we do that, we truly start to integrate our spirit being into our everyday life. And our ego will learn to get to know her and to get onto path with her, because she will become more comfortable to be with you as the spirit being. She will become more comfortable in understanding why you are here as a spirit being having this human experience, right? So she will definitely come onto the path with you. And that's a practice. That's a practice. Yes, Kylie, absolutely. Even when it's challenging. And that's even more important. Don't let go. When it becomes challenging, stay in that space and start to find out, why is it so challenging right now? What am I really struggling with? Where does that sit? In my body? In my mind? At what point am I in my life? What is actually happening? What is the core of this challenge? And don't let go. Please, please, please do not let go of your spiritual activities. Stay with it. Because the more you tap into your spiritual being, the easier it is to deal with the challenges. Because you all of a sudden start to see it from a different point of view. You start to see it from a loving, more caring, more congruent place to be able to deal with those challenges. So yeah, challenges are difficult and often seen as very dark periods in our lives. However, sit with that. It happens for a reason. It happens for us to be able to shift and to grow and to expand. And it happens also for us to let go of the things that we no longer need. Because in challenging times, especially, we often want to retrieve and we don't want to know anything. And we just sit there in our energy that actually brings us down. But when we are congruent with ourselves, we start to see this as an opportunity to really delve into this challenge, to figure out, why is this happening? What is truly going on under the surface? Where is this energy coming from? What am I meant to be doing with this? What can I shift? And how can I show up better because of that? And once we have that, it's literally, again, going back to this observing ourselves. Yeah, because once we start to observe ourselves in that space, because when we're in a challenge, we stay in ourselves, right? It's almost like you're stuck and you're not really moving anywhere. But the key is to be able to step back and to see us in that challenge and just watch that whole experience like you were watching a movie. Because from that space, you can really see what's going on. And you will see things from an observer point of view. So you might pick up on little hints and tips and learning and knowledge that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do because you're right in the middle of it. But when we can distance ourselves and we truly tune in and we start to listen, feel, see, and sense all these beautiful things that are going on, it makes it so much easier to overcome a challenge. And also deciding what you want to do with that. Do you want to stay in that downward spiral sort of energy, or do you want to spiral your way back out? Yeah. Which one is more appealing? So that's a really good way to integrate all your different spiritual abilities that you start to notice into your everyday life. And you know what? Have fun with this. Have fun with this. It can be challenging to understand all of a sudden, oh my God, I see aura all of a sudden, or I can feel people, or oh wow, I can see a spirit. But now what? What am I going to do with that? Right? Or I've got so many coming in all of a sudden. It's like it's crowded here in the room. What do I do? Well, one of the other key things, which is number 4, is to making sure that you are in a state of, I don't really like using the word protection because we're not necessarily protecting ourselves, but let's just use this for the sake of understanding. Our humans will understand this better, that you are protected. So what you can do is create a shield of white light around you, or use what I always call the golden egg. Yeah, you step into the golden egg, which has all your beautiful energies and music and beautiful memories, and it makes you feel really light and happy and joyful, right? So once you do that and you set the boundaries, then it's easier to implement your spiritual practices every day. Boundaries are key. Holding the power to yourself is key. Spirit, they're a beautiful, beautiful team to work with. We are all connected to Spirit at all times. Better yet, we are all connected to each other, right? However, they can be cheeky. They can be very cheeky. They can just burst into your energy field and just, wanting to communicate and play and have fun and all this sort of stuff as well. However, I would love for you to set the boundaries straight away. If you don't want to see spirit, or you don't want to engage in spirit, for example, like a medium, yeah, you've got all these beautiful loved ones that come through and they want to talk to you because they know you can connect with someone that they need to speak to. If you don't want that, tell them, I actually don't want to engage with like a medium. I actually don't want to communicate with people that have passed over. No. I just want to use my intuition for me. And set that boundary and tell them, actually, no, that's not how I want to work with you. Tell your higher self that as well, that that's not what you want. You are in full control of your spiritual abilities, in full control. But yes, there are some of these self-care tools that I've just highlighted that you do want to practice every single day. So which were they? We had meditation, being still, being quiet, being with yourself to truly experience what you hear, feel, see, and sense. Just for 5 minutes, whether it's in the morning when you just wake up, or in the middle of the day, or in the evening, or when you're walking, and keep a little journal and start writing things down. And if you're not a writer, use your phone or something else to make notes, because you would like to. Yes, you do. It's important sorry, I'm just getting that message through. I need to emphasize this. It is really important for us to keep track of what we are experiencing, so we can start to see some of these parallel thoughts, feelings, and information that we are getting through. But also we start to gain a solid understanding ourselves of what it is that we actually are working with in terms of our spiritual abilities. So to start off with that is to, be quiet, but also take note. The second one is observing, right? Observing yourself. What are you experiencing as you move around your day? Who you are encountering, the different environments that you find yourself in. Really observe that. Yeah. Protection is the third one. We really want to make sure that we are protected in a way that we keep the power to ourselves. We're not going to get drained from other people's energies, nor do we allow anyone to come in that we don't invite in. So that's extremely important. And the fourth one is your boundaries. Set your boundaries. Be really clear on what you do and do not accept when you do your spiritual practices. And nothing is a must. These are all suggestions. These are all tips, all the things that I have done that I know works. And I've worked with other people on these as well, and it works. For some people, they create their own rituals. They create their own ways of learning and experiencing and going through this. But becoming spiritually aligned, and for us to wake up, it is practice and it is learning. Because it's almost like a completely different language that we're learning. And it's a completely different way of being for a lot of us. And it can be really scary because it's uncomfortable and it's unknown. And for a lot of people, we can't even see it. Therefore, it's not tangible, So what is spirituality really? So we often don't know. But I would love for you to start exploring this more and integrate it every day. And you will see, you will feel, you will know that you are more aligned the more that you do this. And better yet, your pets will feel it too. They will absolutely love the fact that you become more aligned with your spiritual self and having a much better experience as you teach your human to come on that journey with you at the same time. And your pets will see that, they will feel that. You may see them, calm down a little bit more, right? So it's very, very important to do this. Wow, what a topic for tonight, hey? That was lovely. And thank you so much for interacting. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Kylie. And whoever else was here, it was lovely to be with you. I would also love to invite you. Let's do this. Let's work together. I would love to be your guide. I would love to help you through this, for you to truly figure out what it is that you can do with your spiritual abilities and how you can better align yourself with you. So make sure you get in touch with me. Better yet, I will share a link here with you. Book me in. Alignment Clarity Call. Let's hop on. Doesn't cost you anything. Bit of time with me. You get to learn a little bit more about me then, and I get to learn more about you. And let's start creating. Let's do this together. Let's help you get more awakened, get more into alignment with your spiritual self, so that you can utilize that beautiful wisdom from within in your everyday life. How does that sound? I would love nothing more but to do that for you and to do that with you. So as per usual, you are very welcome, Kylie. My absolute pleasure. As per usual, you can watch this back. If you're watching the replay, use #replay. Put your questions in the comments if you have any. I am here to answer them. And let's hop on a call together. Let's do this. It'll be really fun to work together on all of this beautiful stuff. But for now, stay connected with love and grace, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.